And if that same young man can tour the African continent today and stand before you to share a story, it means it is possible for every one of us. And the alignment, the vision, the hope, the destiny that we all want to attain is guaranteed in the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore and everyone within the areas. It is time for us to go and conquer. It is time for us to go and spread that message. I thank you all, and I hope Burkina Faso will go beyond its boundaries. And for and congratulations to every one of you that received your permanent residency yesterday. I'm sure there is more to come, but I hope this would be a defining moment that the entire African continent would recognize her diaspora population and every African out there that Africa is home. And Marcus Garvey in his wisdom once said, every race deserves a home. And there's only one home for the black person, Africa. Thank you. And if that same young man can tour the African continent today and stand before you to share a story, it means it is possible for every one of us. And the alignment, the vision, the hope, the destiny that we all want to attain is guaranteed in the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore and everyone within the areas. It is time for us to go and conquer. It is time for us to go and spread that message. I thank you all, and I hope Burkina Faso will go beyond its boundaries. And and congratulations to every one of you that received your permanent residency yesterday. I'm sure there is more to come, but I hope this would be a defining moment that the entire African continent would recognize her diaspora population and every African out there that Africa is home. And Marcus Garvey in his wisdom once said, every race deserves a home. And there's only one home for the black person, Africa. Thank you. And if that same young man can tour, that is not the trajectory for the young people of Burkina Faso. You guys have chosen something different. When a vision is lost, when a revolution is lost, the consequences are disastrous. And for Burkina Faso, you stand out today. You are not just only a model for generations to come, but a concept that every African country can replicate. This has always been the ambition, have always been the aim for most young people like all of us today. Last month, I took a tour across East Africa. And in that tour, I have a reflection. The continent of Africa is losing $8 billion on logistics gap alone. The continent is losing $4 billion on cost of fuel alone. 40% of agricultural product in the African continent perishes before it gets to the markets. What does this mean? A big potential that waits all of us as young people. There are countries that are championing connectivity. I've seen incredible progress in Tanzania, an amazing progress in Burkina Faso, one in which all of us can build upon. What this means is we have no excuse. Everything can be imported except the genuine revolution that's going to liberate Africa, the genuine revolution that's going to provide for Africans, the genuine revolution that's going to say Africa have everything that the world needs, and it is time for us to add value to not only the resources we step on every day, but to the people of the African continent. The rhetoric, the ever narrative of this is a poor continent have to go. And that responsibility rests on the shoulders of the young people. We protect the leadership, we protect the vision, we protect the dream, and we take the responsibility to champion a chart that Africa has never witnessed before. That is an obligation we don't just owe to ourselves, but to the generations of Africans yet unborn who do not deserve to live in a continent and to be looked at as a people below, but a people that stands out. That recognition we must build, and it starts with us, it ends with us. Thank you. That is not the trajectory for the young people of Burkina Faso. You guys have chosen something.
That means November 9th, 1799, coup d'etat in the French Republic. Napoleon Bonaparte comes to power. December 2nd, 1851, constitutional coup d'etat in the French Republic. Napoleon Bonaparte stays in power just a few months before the end of his term, even though the Constitution of the Second Republic formally forbade it. May 13th, 1958, coup d'etat in the French Republic. General de Gaulle returns to power. History doesn't lie. History doesn't lie, unless we let liars tell it. Even before Burkina Faso accepted independence, the French Republic had already experienced 6 coups d'etat. So understand that we are in version 2.2. Just consider that at the end of 2023, in the ranking of the 10 greatest Frenchmen of all time, and surprised in second place, Napoleon Bonaparte, the putschist. In this version 2.2, when it's them, they're saviors, and when it's us, we're putschists. When it's them, they throw flowers, and when it's us, they impose sanctions. When it's them, it's the red carpet, the greatest man of all time. And when it's us, they get furious, and like chameleons, they change their colors. When it's them, democracy means letting the people choose. And finally, when it's us that the people choose, they say the people chose wrong. Democracy is free choice, and dictatorship is when something is imposed. But when democracy is imposed on us, isn't that also dictatorship? So yes, we do have a choice, but it's a choice between 2 dictatorships, the one hidden within the laws and the one that exposes the hidden laws. Don't confuse freedom with so-called libertinism. Don't ask a prostitute for marriage advice. They have double standards, malice and scheming. We can't choose between the two. They make our own scales for us. They practice the politics of the sorcerer, frightened to capture the soul. But when you try to capture a stallion, you should at least think better than a donkey. That's why they have... When they're the ones forming unions, there's no problem. But when we're the ones making an alliance, suddenly there's an issue. Yet, the union of husband and wife is indeed the alliance that serves as both proof and symbol. That's why when we refuse, we say no. That's good, but it's not enough. In the realm of communities, when you refuse, you leave. And if those who leave are 2 or 3, well, it's those who stay who are in danger. They are happy and we are content. But when it's us, they can't stand it. For them, our riflemen died in battle. But when we are attacked, they do not speak out. Because they can't stand your smile, the joy of life in your children. They can't stand your future. As long as they don't see blood, they can't stand your peace. And your development bothers them. They do everything to get rid of you. They turn your dream life into a nightmare. So, are they friends or are they enemies? From now on... from now on, when facing enemies, we keep our hands firm. But you also need to look among your enemies for those who train them. That's why from now on, we are determined to continue the struggle we are leading, to choose our own destiny. Because if you risk finding them, by finding them, you are taking a risk. And so you risk succeeding. By freeing this country from the colonial legacy, you also risk succeeding against the predictions of the pessimists. You risk building a proud and free Burkina. You risk finishing the job. What Sankara would have done if he had been allowed to live. In the end, we are here to make a choice. And I choose to take the risk. For the homeland, the family, the nation, and the struggle. I choose to take the risk. And make no mistake, we are a free people. But do not confuse freedom with so-called libertinism. Don't ask a prostitute for marriage advice. We are the alliance, the proof, and the emblem of what they call union. Thank you.
I did not know the Minister of Women's Affairs was a general. So there was a nicely dressed man sitting in the corner. I automatically assumed he was the minister. Until, of course, I got introduced and I said, stop, why did you do that? And then, of course, when I realized, not only was she a woman, she was a young woman who was a general. Now that's when it hit me, I was like, oh, hold it. This is Burkina Faso. That's what I'm talking about. So right there, I'm wowed by the youth of Burkina Faso and all the wonderful, amazing things you're doing in Burkina Faso. And increasingly, I'm getting wowed by the women of Burkina Faso. I spoke to you guys yesterday about President TRAORE and all the soldiers around him, the way they walk, the way they own every piece of land they step on. They are proud to be Burkina. I was in the plane flying Air Burkina. Even the air hostess, the way she walked, so graceful. She was in charge. She was fearless. Yes, this is her world. She's taking charge of it. It was so beautiful. You don't say that in the people where I come from, where we live in the United States. But even in Southern Africa, something has been done to a man that we forgot that we own this land. There's something happening in Burkina Faso that is very, very unique. And it starts with the recognition. We are going through a process of renaissance in Africa. Our struggle to rebirth ourselves are severely hindered by colonization and across the Atlantic, the legacy of slavery. I was talking to a friend of mine in Zimbabwe, and she's a young mother, and she was very proud that her children don't speak our local language, which is Shona. And I was questioning why she felt that was some kind of badge of honor she should carry. And then I find out a whole lot of them wish their children couldn't speak Shona, but that they speak good English. I remember going home that day and wondering, where are we going? These children are doomed before their lives even begin. And where are we failing them? We're failing them at home. We are not teaching them our history. We are not teaching them who we are. So how does this child enter the world as an adult? With what foundation? With what knowledge? There is something happening in Burkina Faso that is different. The youth of Burkina Faso, who are responsible for FASO Maibo, the youth of Burkina Faso, who are saying, Mr. President, what can we do for Burkina Faso? Not what can Burkina Faso, our country, do for me. Who is raising those children? It goes back to the matter. There's something amazing happening in households in Burkina Faso. So what's happening in Burkina Faso, not only among the youth, but also among the mothers, is something that we need to be talking about. It's something that we need to be celebrating. How do the mothers of Burkina Faso keep their children engaged in such a manner that they can live Pan-Africa's lives? How do we remind our children that there was Thomas Sankara? How do we remind our children that there have been female leaders around the world, that somewhere along the way we lost our ways? We had Rosa Parks in the United States who sat and refused to give up the seat because she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. We have women like Nehanda in Zimbabwe who led male battalions to resist occupation by the British. Even at the risk of being beheaded, their skulls, just so you know, are still sitting in jars in European basements. They were taken as trophies of conquest. So as such, they cannot be repatriated because they are not considered human beings to this day. We have women like Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad, who felt his fit that there has to be a better life besides slavery in the southern United States. So they led a network of friends from the south and transporting people all the way to the north to freedom. We have women like Nanaya Asantwa. When Ghana was still under the British rule, the then governor of Ashanti, he wanted to take the golden stool. For those of you who don't know about the golden stool, it is the stool that houses the spirits of the Ashanti people. And when you take that golden stool, you are taking the spirit of the Ashanti people. The governor had just imprisoned the king at that time in the Seychelles, and they wanted their king back. So he said, in exchange for the king, I will take the golden stool. One king in exchange of the spirit of an entire tribe in generations to come. So the men had agreed. They were going to give up the stool in exchange for the king. One woman who was the gatekeeper, she said, absolutely no way. This is the spirit of our people. Is it true, I will paraphrase her speech, is it true that the Ashanti men have failed in their ways? Is it true that the Ashanti men are ready to give up the spirit of the Ashanti people in exchange for one human being? If it is indeed true, I shall call upon my women friends. We shall pick up arms. We will fight the British until each and every one of us is down. She shamed the Ashanti men, who then picked up the arms and fought to defend the golden stool. To this day, the Ashanti people still have their golden stool because of one woman who stood up. That is the role that we play as mothers, and of course, don't forget the Dahomey women who were mentioned by the minister. Powerful women who fought alongside men and felt that it was just as important for them to pick up arms like the men. We can go on and on and on and reference women who have risen up, who have fought in what they believe. More recently, the wars that were fought in Zimbabwe, wars of liberation in Rhodesia, in Mozambique, Namibia, Angola, South Africa, and many other countries. It was the women and the children who supported the guerrilla warfare. The guerrilla fighters would not have survived if it were not for being housed and being fed by women and children. And there was such camaraderie among the people that there were very few traitors. There were very few, what did we call them yesterday? Hooligans. The little boy would leave with a little satchel of food in the guise of going to head cattle. And while there, he would feed the freedom fighters. The woman would look like she's going to fetch firewood. And while out there, she's leaving food in a bush. And she was feeding the freedom fighters. The wars of liberation were won because of women. Yes, those who held the bazookas, they did the finishing of the job. But for them to survive in the bush, it was the women. Women in solidarity. Women who refused to sell their children. Women who refused to sell each other. That camaraderie is what we need today. That belief in self, in networking and saying what is within us stays within us. When there was a war in Liberia, I don't know if most of you know this, when the men would not come together and come to some agreement of some sort, the women came together. The Christian women, the Muslim women, the Jewish women, non-religious women, they came together and they said, Liberia is our country. And this man cannot come up to a decision and our children are dying. They said, what is it that really matters the most about the men? Can you all figure it out? They said, no more action in the bedroom until this man come to an agreement. And they said, no cheating either. Boyfriend, if you have a boyfriend, if you're married, no action until the war is over. 30 days later, the war was over. This is the power of women. When we are organized, truthfully, we are losing that in Africa today, where everybody wants to do their own thing. That spirit of togetherness, you see that in the United States. When you ask for the voices of the Chinese, thousands of miles away from home, loud and clear. Ask for the voices of the Irish, loud and clear. The Jews, the Italians, the Mexicans, the Indians, they are organized. Some even have communities that they're now living their own lives, their own culture, their own schools, with their own teachers, teaching their children what they want their children to know. But when you ask for the voices of black people in America, you might as well go to the graveyard. We're busy running away from each other. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe in each other. Even continental Africans, you would think, if you're from Cameroon, I'm going to talk about Cameroon because my sister is here. The French-speaking Cameroon, the English-speaking Cameroon, they don't talk. They don't communicate. And to them I say, where is Paul Biya in Texas, keeping you and your sister from communicating? But they blame it on Paul Biya. We're not talking because of Paul Biya. The ignorance is deep. I was in Texas, and I'm talking to a Zimbabwean lady. She said, oh yes, in the neighborhood where I live, I'm the only black person. I don't like living with Zimbabweans. Sadly, this is a big phenomenon. Many of us are running away from each other. There's something dangerous going on in Africa. And the only way we can deal with it is to have mothers who get it. Too many young mothers are too busy trying to be something that they are not. We're trying to live lives that are not us. We're running away from our culture, our norms, our values, because we're chasing the Western world. It is a phenomenon that has long swept throughout Africa. And that is why our children are losing their ways. Mothers, we have work to do. And the mothers in Burkina Faso, we have something to learn from you. Whatever you're doing in your homes needs to be cultivated. And we need to share it with other mothers. The spirit of Pan-Africanism must be reawoken among each and every one of us. Southern Africa, if I may speak to that, is probably one of these we have some of the worst afflictions when it comes to our failure to live a Pan-African life. You would think, because we fought for our freedoms, that we would be more patriotic than other parts of Africa that did not fight for their freedom. But far from it, we have just walked away from that which many died for. There is work to be done. There is an awakening that needs to happen. And it is my humble opinion that that awakening has to start with the mothers. I met with the Minister of Women's Affairs, and I briefed her on this conference, and more importantly today, what the conversation was going to be about. I also informed her how we have watched from afar the remarkable work going on in Tanzania. And that I do believe that it all starts in the home. That this child who is so responsible and understands his or her contribution to building a nation, it has to start with the home. So much to the same request that I made to the Minister of Youth, that I would love to see the youth of Burkina Faso come to Tanzania and talk to the youth of Tanzania. I would also like to see the women of Tanzania, women of Burkina Faso come to Tanzania to share with the mothers in Tanzania how to raise a Pan-African child. Share with them, what have you done? What are you doing to raise the children that we're having in Burkina Faso? What we saw our children do in Tanzania on October 29th was indeed a sad day. To take a country that has been peaceful for over 60 years, all of a sudden in one day, the children turned into something Tanzania had never seen. What happened? Ambassador, what happened? We want to know. A country of Nyerere who managed to unlike other countries, he said everybody in Tanzania shall speak Swahili. You can speak another tribe, but Swahili is the official language. While in the other southern countries, we kept our English because we wanted to be more British than the British. Singularly, that decision by President Nyerere to make Swahili the official language in Tanzania has kept Tanzanians as united as they are and as peaceful as they have been. So as mothers, we need to understand. Because when those children left home that day, did they have the mindset of destroying their country? We need to figure out from the mothers in Tanzania. I'm sure the mothers in Tanzania are asking themselves, what happened to my child? We need to understand what happened to these children that have lived in Tanzania for over 60 years in a peaceful country, peaceful transition of power. Suddenly one day, boom, the country is in chaos. Ambassador, we want to know. As women of Africa, we want to know. Because what happened that day must be understood, must be analyzed, must be studied, so it can never happen again. And I have a solution for you, Ambassador. You're sitting right here with the women of Burkina Faso, who might just could share with the women of Tanzania a little bit of their wisdom. So together, we can prevent our children from being used as instruments of their own self-destruction. I've requested a women's summit after speaking to the Minister of Women's Affairs. She is in agreement, and I want you to know that she is waiting to hear from Mama Samia, and she is happy to have Burkina Faso women go to Tanzania and share ideas with the women of Tanzania. This is how we're going to run our Africa. We're going to run our Africa our way. We're going to solve our problems our way. We're going to find solutions from within, not from outside. But to do so, there are already too many holes throughout Africa. Those holes must be patched up. This Titanic that we're riding is leaking. We must identify those holes, patch them up, if we're going to continue to sail together and get to the promised land as a united Africa that is speaking with one voice, one heart, one mind, one soul. It is a commitment from each and every one of us, a commitment to be an African all the time, not African at times when it suits you, not being African when it doesn't suit you. It is a way of life. How do we cultivate that? I tell to you, my brothers and sisters, it starts at home. It starts with us mothers. So my challenge to all of us mothers is that we need to have a strategy, an African position on how we raise a Pan-African child. We need to commit to teaching our children our history. They must understand where we have been. They must understand the geopolitics and the world we live in, that these children are red meat for the Western world. When you see an NGO, you must ask them outside this clinic, what else are you here for? They may never tell you what they're here for, but you know that there's a bigger agenda. They never build a clinic or a school where there are no minerals. So when that doctor comes from outside Africa, While they are pretending to be taking care of you, they are watching who is digging. And if they dig, where is it going? And they are reporting back where they come from. Beware of the wolf in sheep's clothing. We want you to see them through their antennas like a devil. Know them by their colors. Snoop them out. Watch out for those NGOs who seemingly are nice to you. When somebody who works for an NGO is too nice to you, when you find yourself being invited to embassies of foreign countries, you are slowly being wooed to become a hooligan. Lord, the warning sign. And mothers, when a child comes back and says, well, I've been to this da-da-da embassy, I've been to this da-da-da embassy, those are the warning signs. Take that child, sit them down, tell them about the geopolitics and how these wolves work. Understand their ways. You must understand your enemy. Because if you do not understand your enemy, they will behead you and you won't even know what hit you. So while we want our children to understand the geopolitics, we also want the family, the parents, to understand the geopolitics. So the conversations at your dinner table should include the geopolitics and narrow it down to politics in Africa, then politics in your country, then politics in your community, in your district, then politics in your village, then politics in your home. Every conversation has its reference point. Have a full understanding of your world, from the road all the way down to your dinner table. It all starts with us, the mothers. So mothers, the challenge, the onus is on us to raise Pan-African children, starting with the home. I hope that in the very near future, we shall have more and more conferences of our young children speaking to each other, sharing ideas, teaching ourselves our history, mothers sharing ideas about how to raise Pan-African children. You see, ours is a very simple fight as black people. We simply want these people to leave us alone. If we're going to make mistakes, they are our mistakes, and we will fall, and we will stumble, and we will learn. So let's get rid of the outsiders. Let's not give them room. We demand a world that is free of exploitation of the African continent. They will not stop exploiting us unless we put an end to it. We demand a world that we are respected. They will not respect us unless we demand the respect. So when you walk, do you walk like President TRAORE? Then demand that I own this world. I don't need permission from anybody because I own this world. Is that a problem? You didn't know that I own this world? That's your problem. I know I own this world. I'm telling you something that I live and practice every day. If I'm walking into a room with others who don't look like me, I intimidate the hell out of them because of the way I walk in. You got on it. You got on it. We always do that. That air hostess from BURKINA Air, the way she walked around gracefully. She was in charge. Are you with me? We may have to take that in school. When you walk in, everybody down, everybody. You have a way of just looking, letting everybody know you're beneath me. Yes, I do it all the time when I win. Sometimes I'll intentionally just be late because I wanted people to know. At that time, I was African Union Ambassador. I said, I'm the AU, they can all wait for me. I'm representing 1.4 billion people. You all can wait for me. We can't own it. We can't always be the ones that we're just, humbling ourselves for what? We are the owners, mothers and fathers of humanity. Remember that, children. Without black people, the rest of the world would not be. We are the only dominant gene. The rest of the world, their genes are recessive, which means they are lacking something. You are the only one with everything nature has meant for you to have. They lost something. They are recessive. So why should you hold your head high? And when you walk among them, you just know they are inferior. You don't have to say it, you just know it. Are you with me? So mothers, we must let our children know they are the kings and the queens. They must stand on the tallest pedestal and proclaim to the world who we are. The proud, the beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible Africans. Let that resonate in your home every single day. If you have to make your child recite it as they walk out of the home, or if you have to post it by the door, they must recite it. They must know who they are, and that when they step out of that door, no one is going to try to make them feel inferior to anybody. But it starts with us, mothers. And that is my message to you. Let's empower our children to be proud to be Africans. May the conversation continue. And thank you.
Please put your hands together for Natalie, Her Excellency, Dr. Aritana Chiamwori-Kwa, and Lady K. Please give them a big round of applause. I mean, I'm so excited. This conversation is so powerful. We are women. We are leaders. We are the future. I'm a mother. And because when we talk about the future of Africa, we must speak of women. And the story of Africa's liberation has been told through narrow lens. And as we overlook the hands that nurtured revolutions, the voices that carried movements, and the resilience that sustained nations, let us be clear that African women have always been at the center of liberation. Please don't forget that. Women, we are not waiting to be included in Africa's future. We are creating it now. And a liberated Africa cannot exist where women are silenced. It cannot thrive where girls are denied education, and it cannot prosper where the economic power of women are underestimated. Because when you empower a woman, you do not just change her life, you transform a family, a community, and an entire nation. So again, please put your hands together for our panel. At this time, we would like to hear from Natalie.
We are going to take questions.
So now, yes, we're going to take questions from our audience. Yes, so if you have a question for Natalie or Her Excellency, Lady K, please raise your hand.
Voilà, nous allons maintenant prendre des questions, s'il y en a. Si tout est clair, c'est bon. Mais s'il y a des questions, si vous voulez avoir des échanges, c'est le moment, vous levez la main et puis un micro va être circuler. Vous pouvez nous poser des questions sur tout ce qui vous passe par la tête. Ah,
I would like to kick it off with a question from a woman.
Okay. On commence par la dame et on arrive chez vous.
Bonjour à tous. La question est la suivante. Généralement, quand on parle de femmes qui doivent prendre soin d'elles et devenir autonomes et tout ça, il y a certains hommes qui se sentent attaqués ou bien ils ont peur de ne plus être vus comme des hommes, quoi. Donc ils se sentent un peu perdus. J'aimerais donc, je suis curieux de savoir ce que vous avez comme conseil à donner à ces hommes-là qui auraient peur donc que leurs femmes en devenant indépendantes et autonomes, eux, ils perdent leur autonomie et tout ça. Je vous remercie.
Tu peux te présenter?
Mon nom est Elodie, je vis en Allemagne et je suis membre de ERUPT.
Oui, alors d'accord. Excusez-moi, je traduisais. Alors la question, bon, je l'ai un peu abordée tout à l'heure, c'est-à-dire que depuis ce matin, on explique le rôle que les femmes ont jouent et sont appelées à jouer. Et je sais que dans la salle, il y a beaucoup d'hommes qui sont là. Je suis sûre qu'ils ont bien entendu qu'une femme autonome, une femme indépendante, une femme qui lutte, une femme leader, une femme politique, une femme entrepreneur, ce n'est pas une attaque à leur virilité, mais c'est plutôt une contribution à une émancipation, à une amélioration du bien-être. Je sais que c'est pas facile. J'ai été dans le domaine politique, dans le domaine entrepreneurial, maintenant dans le domaine militant, et je vois partout des femmes qui sont un peu freinées et des hommes qui ne savent pas trop comment gérer cette affaire. Et je pense que c'est à nous, en tant que jeunes ou futures mamans, de nous assurer que les enfants, les garçons que nous allons éduquer, nous allons leur apprendre à ne pas craindre une femme qui est indépendante. Je pense que ceux qui sont déjà adultes doivent comprendre, et le voient d'ailleurs, que les femmes qui sont fortes ne diminuent pas à eux leur force, mais montrent qu'ils ont eu du nez en choisissant une femme qui allait pouvoir entraîner et réussir sa carrière, réussir son combat. C'est pas une chose facile, mais avant d'aller donner des conseils aux hommes, il faut d'abord même qu'on se donne des conseils entre nous les femmes. Parce qu'on est souvent celles qui allons attaquer nos camarades qui tentent d'émerger. C'est souvent des femmes qui sont là pour essayer de mettre des bâtons dans les roues. Je pense que tout le monde a besoin d'apprendre. Comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, pour moi, et je pense que c'est vers ça qu'on va se diriger, la lutte, l'émancipation n'a pas de genre. Si nous nous battons, si une dame, on avait 3 dames hier sur ce panel, qui étaient des femmes entrepreneurs, certaines ont quitté même des carrières dans la fonction publique pour venir se risquer dans l'entrepreneuriat. Si une femme réussit, elle arrive à sortir des communautés de la pauvreté. Donc ça ne peut pas être quelque chose qui fait mal. C'est vrai que la misogynie qu'on peut avoir dans nos cultures, et encore, la misogynie qui est là, on doit pouvoir un peu la cadrer, la changer. Je pense que c'est en phase. Mais je pense que ça demande aussi bien les hommes que les femmes. Le fait qu'aujourd'hui, il y ait tant de jeunes gens qui soient là, de jeunes gens masculins, j'entends, qui soient là, montre qu'ils sont intéressés par cette thématique de la lutte des femmes. Maman Arikana l'a dit tout à l'heure, quand on a arrêté Nelson Mandela, C'est Winnie Mandela qui a repris le combat. Ce n'était pas son adversaire, c'était sa camarade de lutte. Si elle n'avait pas été là, est-ce que ça aurait pu continuer? Pareil au Ghana, le Movement of 31st December, c'est Nana Adjemang Rawlings, l'épouse de Jerry Rawlings, qui l'a mené. Et quand Jerry Rawlings, après, je pense qu'il a fait 19 ans au pouvoir, 11 avant les élections et 8 après, elle s'est assurée qu'ils mettent le focus sur le développement de la femme, sur l'émancipation de la femme, sur l'autonomisation de la femme. Les femmes sont vos meilleures conseillères, mais c'est pas seulement aux hommes de le comprendre, c'est aussi aux autres femmes de construire une solidarité féminine qui va réussir à emmener tout le monde dans la bonne direction. On ne peut pas gagner cette lutte seulement entre femmes, on ne peut pas les gagner entre hommes, par contre on peut les gagner entre patriotes, courageux, engagés et responsables. Merci.
And also just to add on to that, to say the men must also take an example from Samia, the president of Tanzania, and Mamitua, the president of Namibia. They're both women that are married, that have husbands, but they are yet leading the country. So it's also a mental thing. So be mentally prepared that your wife or your partner knows the differences of their roles and their role. It doesn't mean that anybody is better than the other, but it's just how prepared and how mature you are to understand that it's a portfolio that somebody has that has to drive, and it's their strength, and it's their knowledge or their career that they are driving. Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next question.
Okay, merci.
I want to add something to that question as well. We cannot disregard culture. Our men are raised, especially in Africa, that the kitchen is not theirs. That the wife, the kitchen belongs to the wife, and that they cannot touch the dishes. In Africa, it might work because if you are of means, you may have a housekeeper who does all the cooking and cleaning. I had a gentleman who was just in the waiting room waiting for a meeting here in Africa. In fact, he was in Tanzania, and he had very nicely put on his shoes. And I happened to just compliment. I said, "Oh, you have to get off of your shoe. It's so clean." And he said, "Oh yeah, my wife takes care of this." And I thought, I was not even expecting him to go there. But he said it so casually. He said, no, I don't do anything. All my clothes, by the time I get up, my wife is already set out and my shoes polished. And oh my God. And I often say, because of all the easy life you men have, that we are raised as women to say that you must take care of your husband. And if you're married in African culture, when you move over to your husband's family, your own aunties and mothers and grandmothers will tell you, don't embarrass us. So you go work like a dog on that side, and nobody really pays attention to you because it's almost, you're like a slave. And if you try to flex your muscles and complain, then they start calling you a bad daughter-in-law. How do we get away from that? It's culture. Then second, so there are some women who are working enough, they'll fight. They'll fight at the side of the family until everybody, starts paying attention. Sometimes in my village, if things got to be so bad where the woman is so abused by everybody because she is the daughter-in-law, and you're trying to talk to your husband, he doesn't listen. You try to talk to the elders, they don't listen. A woman then finally when a woman has really reached the end and she has nothing else, she doesn't know what else to do, then she'll have to take off her clothes and run up and down the village. And it's the only time that somebody would stop, and then the elders will call for an emergency meeting to then talk to the husband and say, "Oh, what are you doing?" But why should we be pushed to an extent that we run around naked before anybody can hear us? Culture has a lot to do with why we are where we are today. So the issues also need to be looked at in modern day from a legislative point of view. So we need to continue the education, especially the young men. We mothers, we must let our children, our boy child, go in the kitchen. They need to know how to cook. They need to know how to wash clothes, iron, take care of their younger siblings. Let them do what the real world is going to expect them to do. They're going to leave Africa. They're going to go live in the Western world. Even in Africa today, you need two incomes. You need two households to work. And they both go to work. They might even have the same type of job. When they come back, the husband is sitting in front of the television, watching TV and wondering when is dinner coming. The woman is now in the kitchen, she's cooking, and after they finish eating, then she has to start preparing clothes, ironing the clothes for the children, preparing their meals for tomorrow. By this time, he's gone to bed. So it happens every day. The woman is not an ever-ready battery. That she works 24/7. At some point, we as women as well, we must be empowered. Now, there are two groups of women. Women who are empowered enough to put an end to it. And you need to find ways of doing it without destroying the marriage or creating disharmony. Think outside the box. Figure out how to get things done. Make him think he's saying it when he's actually saying it. We got to be diplomats in our own homes. And unfortunately, if you're growing up with your grandmothers, that's what they taught you. Our mothers and grandmothers, they ran the home. Papa thought she was doing something, but actually Mama is wanting it all along. But we need to be diplomatic. There is no cookie cutter way that you can say, this is how we do it. But understand that there's that phenomenon and that you're going to win this struggle and you got to be diplomatic and find a way. But the best way is to talk to each other. When women talk to each other, I remember there was an NGO in a village that put a well in the center of the village because the women used to walk 5 miles away to go fetch water. What surprised them was that even after the water was in the middle of the village, the women still walked 5 hours away. Why? Because they took away their socialization time. That's when they shared ideas. This is what my husband is doing. This is what you do. When he does this is what you do. They shared ideas, they counseled with each other, and that's why the spirit of Ubuntu worked, because the women learned from each other. Now, then we take a woman who thinks she needs to be in the kitchen. She doesn't want her husband to come into the kitchen. She's in a different category. So you got to tell your husband, if you like to eat, if you don't like to eat, fine, stay out of the kitchen. But if you like to eat, you're going to have to come into the kitchen. We have to slowly start standing our ground. Now, you know where your husband is from. He was raised a certain way. Take it easy on him, but woo him into the kitchen slowly. Be diplomatic about it. We don't want you to be disruptive in your family. But when you are up here secure and you know what you know, and you're simply saying, you're such a spoiled brat, but I'm going to fix you. I will train you till you do what I want you to do, that which is right. You can do it with me. Make that commitment. I remember when I was stupid enough, I had 5 children. 4 children, I would be up at night, I would breastfeed. When I was no longer breastfeeding, I would get the bottle. For some reason, I just felt like I needed to do that. Something clicked with my 5th pregnancy. And I thought, I just finished 9 months of carrying this. It's done nothing. So I'm done. I've done my part. I've done 9 months. So I got the bassinet when I came home from the hospital. I put the bassinet on his side of the bed, and I put everything the baby needed there. And when the baby started crying, he started nudging me. Did you hear the baby crying? I said, yes, I do. Do you? And well, are you going to do something about it? I said, no. You have the bassinet. You need to feed the baby. No, he didn't get up. I said, okay, you're not going to get up. Very big bedroom, turned on all the lights. I went in the bedroom and bathroom. I had a boombox. I liked my African music. Turned on my African music, blasted it out loud. I started singing along. Came back to the same side of the bed where he was. I'm singing along and changing my baby. finally he jumps out of bed and he says, somebody has to get some sleep around here. And I said, yes, sir. And that somebody is me. He picked up his baby, went downstairs, and that was it. He started going downstairs because he knew I wasn't taking it anymore. There comes a time that we have to do it. Yeah. So when your man is trying to misbehave, figure out what works for you. There's no cookie cutter, but you women, we're smart. We're smarter than them. You got this. Don't let them get away with it.
Thank you. Words of wisdom.
Ok, merci. C'est David Guillaume, l'École nationale d'administration et de magistrature. Ma question, c'est qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la discrimination positive? Pour ma part, je trouve qu'elle minimise davantage la compétence de la femme. Et la deuxième préoccupation qui peut être un commentaire, je suis d'accord que la femme a un grand rôle dans notre société et elle est d'un appui vraiment incommensurable dans la libération de la société de l'Afrique. Mais je vois qu'aujourd'hui, notre société d'avant était, je vais dire, hiérarchisée, chacun avait son rôle. La femme avait son rôle dans la société, l'homme avait son rôle. Mais aujourd'hui, avec l'école, j'ai l'impression qu'il y a un chevauchement qui fait qu'on n'arrive pas à se comprendre. Et la femme, je suis pour que la femme soit très bien instruite, parce qu'elle éduque la société, elle éduque la famille. Mais son éducation ne va pas lui donner cette volonté ou ce désir-là de pouvoir diriger pour ma part. Pourquoi? Elle peut rester toujours dans le secret. Parce que quand nous prenons le cas de la Tanzanie, je trouve que c'est un bel exemple. Parce qu'elle est venue, lorsqu'il y avait un chaos, elle est venue réparer le chaos. Elle doit être discrète, travailler à la discrétion. Comme notre société, la femme était consultée dans la nuit lorsque l'homme n'avait plus de solution. On ne voyait pas les femmes qui étaient au devant, qui voulaient concurrencer avec les hommes pour des postes politiques, pour des postes de décision. Bien que nous savons que c'est la femme qui avait le dernier mot, mais c'était dans le secret. Et vraiment, si la femme pouvait garder ce rôle, parce que vous voyez, même quand vous prenez sur le côté de la politique, quand on dit un parti politique, on a besoin d'un quota de femmes, vous allez trouver que les femmes même n'arrivent même pas, en tout cas, on n'arrive même pas à atteindre le quota, parce que les femmes ne vont pas s'exprimer. Je pense que c'est déjà inné, c'est déjà ancré en nous. Pourquoi vouloir changer? Parce que c'est notre culture.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense que ce serait intéressant de donner le micro aux femmes dans la salle pour répondre. Je pense qu'on aurait de très bons échanges très animés. Vraiment. Vous savez, quand vous dites que notre culture, notre histoire avait une place pour la femme, je pense qu'on n'est pas, c'est pas peut-être pas la même histoire qu'on connaît. Parce que dans notre culture, on a eu des pharaons femmes, on a eu des chefs militaires femmes, on a eu des chefs politiques femmes, on a eu des chefs de village femmes. Donc, partir du principe que la femme était toujours cachée, je pense qu'on ne part pas du même postulat. Dans l'histoire africaine, la mère, la femme, a toujours un rôle de leader. D'ailleurs, dans beaucoup de nos cultures, c'est la culture du matriarcat qui est là. Donc, c'est pas parce que parfois les femmes se sont contentées de rester dans des rôles de conseillères nocturnes quand il n'y avait plus de solution, si je reprends vos termes. Ce n'est pas parce que cela se faisait que cela empêchait des femmes d'avoir des postes à responsabilité. Vous dites qu'on donne des quotas et que les femmes ne les atteignent pas, mais pourquoi elles ne les atteignent pas? Parce que quand une femme veut se lancer en politique, on commence à l'insulter, son mari lui fait les problèmes à la maison, il commence à claquer les portes, il commence à être grognon tous les jours, on commence à dire que oh, si tu vas dans tel parti politique, si tu as telle position, c'est parce que tu couches avec le leader, c'est parce que tu fais ceci. Et c'est pour éviter tout ça que les femmes s'auto-censurent dans l'action politique. C'est pas parce qu'elles n'ont pas envie, mais c'est parce qu'une femme qui va en politique est confrontée à beaucoup plus d'obstacles qu'un homme qui va en politique. Et si on voudrait atteindre les quotas des femmes en politique, ce qu'on serait bien inspiré de faire, puisque je vous ai dit tout à l'heure les avantages qu'il y a à avoir la cognitivité féminine dans les prises de décision. Donc, si on avait plus de femmes, si on facilitait plus la chose aux femmes, si on ne leur mettait pas autant d'embûches sur le chemin, je pense qu'on atteindrait les quotas. Maintenant, moi personnellement, en tant que Nathalie, je suis contre les quotas. Parce que je vous l'ai dit, pour moi, le combat n'est pas un combat de genre. Je pense qu'un combattant, qu'il soit homme ou femme, doit combattre. Il doit affronter les obstacles. Quand vous êtes soldate, nous avions eu la lieutenant-colonel Caboret qui était là tout à l'heure. Quand elle est au front, elle ne se comporte pas en femme, elle se comporte en soldat. Tu ne vas pas dire, ah, ne me tire pas dessus parce que je suis une femme. Non. Toi-même, tu vas tirer. Donc, moi, ma position, c'est, bon, on n'aime pas trop du côté féministe, parce que classique, hein, féministe occidental. C'est-à-dire qu'on associe le combat des femmes au féminisme occidental qu'on voit, qu'on a appris dans les livres. Oh, il faut te battre pour avoir le même salaire. Oh, il faut te battre pour faire ci. Oh, il faut que l'homme fasse, tu ne fasses plus ça parce que...
Okay, stay tuned. I gotta go live to Dr. Arikana. Follow me, people.
We want to continue to encourage conversations among African mothers from around the continent, as well as conversations among the youth from around the continent.
On veut continuer à avoir des conversations entre les femmes de l'Afrique et aussi entre la jeunesse de l'Afrique.
We want to discourage ourselves from looking for solutions for Africa outside Africa.
On veut se décourager de chercher des solutions pour l'Afrique en dehors de l'Afrique.
Africa has everything it needs, and our problems must be solved by Africans using African solutions.
Les problèmes de l'Afrique doivent être résolus par des Africains en utilisant des solutions africaines.
So the disease of thinking everything we need comes from the West. It is a disease that needs healing, and it needs healing fast.
La maladie de penser que tout ce dont on a besoin ici vient de l'extérieur est une maladie qui a besoin de guérison, et cette guérison-là, on a besoin de ça maintenant.
These kind of conversations and platforms are the beginning of what Africa must do in order to chart our way forward as a united Africa with one mind, one soul, and one heart.
Ces genres de conversations-là sont le début des choses qu'on doit faire en tant qu'Africains pour avancer ensemble en unisson.
Viva Africa!
Viva Africa!
Lucha continua!
Thank you. La patrouille la mort! Thank you so much. Donc, les étudiants.
Okay. I know the camera is shaky. It is very difficult to film and have one hand on the camera. So please excuse. In terms of the noise, we cannot control the noise. So this is what we are doing, but we were doing it so everyone can.
And then just enclose our minds and stick to the African culture. That would be a lie. It might be a difficult thing to practice. We need to break through some of the cultural barriers that are causing stereotypes, and also not to exploit the imagination, creativity, innovation that allows an African child, a boy or a girl, to reach greater heights. So those cultural breakthroughs, I think, are the ones that we have to dismantle them, to make sure that we thrive. If it is by using social media in a right way, so that we thrive while protecting our Africanness, but we are also using the useful platform in a modern environment so that we'll be able to compete with global youth. Because you can't say, I'm not going to use Instagram, while an American young man is on Instagram. So we want also to live in a modern world, but preserving our African culture and behavior. So my 50 cents on this would be, let's break through. Let's abandon those stereotypes that we create, whether imaginary or because of how we grew up. And as parents, we got to do better to stick to the issues that do not necessarily let our kids in isolation, but to engage them on a daily basis so that they may be able to acquaint themselves with the tools and the platforms and the technology so that they can reach their potential. Because an African potential has no limits. The sky is our limit, and nobody can reach the sky from here on Earth unless you get into an aeroplane. So let's allow the playing field for innovation. My young lady, I'll end this and I'll pass it on to my other fellow ladies to give, but I want to end it with my personal reflection as a note. I have, in my family, they always tease me because I think I look young, I look petite, although I'm not young in age. So when I was appointed as an ambassador, it's a title that majority of our African society are used to seeing an old woman walking in with white hair, and then they are ambassadors because they are under their retirement, pretty much. So when I was appointed ambassador 4 years ago, they started calling me, oh, young ambassador, sister ambassador, mama ambassador. Now, translating it in my culture, in my language, mama ambassador is not an ambassador. It's the mother of an ambassador, mama ambassador, or a wife of an ambassador. So I go to family gatherings and everybody is calling me, they're not calling me ambassador. They're calling me either young ambassador, mama ambassador, sister ambassador. I let it fly because I'm like, okay, I'm modest. I can't really tell them that this is wrong. So it reached a point, and I'm glad the moderator spoke about have grace, have dignity in a leadership position. So it reached a point one day in a family gathering, and I said, okay, today is going to be the last day. We have to put this to an end. So when one person came and said, oh, our young ambassador, oh, mama ambassador, come and do this, come and do that. So I said, wait a minute. I am not mama ambassador. Then I spoke to my husband. I said, he is Baba ambassador. So everybody's like, what? So who are you? I am the ambassador. And this is how we unbundle the breakthrough. This is how we break through the cultural lenses, the ones that put us
Are we moving to the next question? Or leaders are you ready for all?
I mean, the conversations is so powerful that we just take out the electricity. And with that note, to my young lady, the one who asked the question, let us start redefining who we are, our leadership spaces, adopt spaces that make our youthfulness thrive, innovate, shine through, but also where there is cultural breakthrough. Let us all celebrate. If I broke the cultural boundaries, the lines that define who an ambassador is, can I have my family celebrate me? Can I have my aunties, instead of calling me, oh, I am a young little ambassador. Let's go, you little young ambassador. I'm here, Mama Samia sent me here. The president sent me here. So you cannot call me young little ambassador. I am the ambassador. So if we start penetrating these messages, not arrogantly, but in a way that we educate others who have not known this truth, then we begin to break through. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We go to the next question. The young man right here. Okay, no problem. We got to keep it short. On va garder la question courte. Donc, une seule question, s'il vous plaît.
Merci pour la parole. Je suis Diallo Dieudonné, étudiant en deuxième année en sciences juridiques politiques. Spécialité droit public à l'université Thomas Sankara. Bonsoir. Je tiens à féliciter la qualité remarquable de vos interventions qui soulignent avec justesse que l'autonomisation des femmes participe indéniablement au développement endogène de l'Afrique. Cela est extrêmement. Il y a de cela des milliers d'années. Parce que la charte de Foucault de 1936 consacre la participation de la femme à la vie politique, Aujourd'hui, nous voyons que nos populations, nos sociétés sont fondées sur la foi. Aujourd'hui, les bases, c'est la Bible, le Coran, et qui consacre la communauté de l'homme sur la femme. Et la question demeure, comment pouvoir bâtir une égalité des droits, autonomiser la femme, sans toutefois heurter cette foi de la population. Merci.
You guys have the translation?
Can you translate it for us, Salvador?
So it was a mouthful, but in a nutshell, what he was saying is that in this society influenced by biblical principle and also Islam, it sounds like the women is kind of getting the short hand of the stick. I'm sure you guys are going to get excited about this one. Don't get too excited, okay? How can we create a playing field without hurting people's religion and spiritual background and not putting the lady way too below in society like is happening right now? So hopefully that makes sense.
We can all answer.
Thank you for your question. So for me, as a wife, a mother, a daughter, having sisters, having daughters, it's important that we understand
that because of us, you exist. Without us, there would be no you. So I think somewhere along the line, we forgot that the woman is the vessel by which God used to bring you into this world. So if we want to bring back that balance where women don't feel like they're less than their male counterparts, women, we have to get back to the drawing board, because I feel somewhere along the line, we allowed our power as women to be lost. And so we have to start having the conversations among us. Where did we go wrong that the sons that we gave birth to felt that we were beneath them? We have to answer those questions. And then when we answer those questions, we go back and we fix our mistakes, the steps that we took to allow our sons to feel that they were superior than us. We have to repair it. And then we have to go to our sons and we have to educate them and let them know it's because of us they have life. And so without us, there is no life for the male species. And once we get back to that, we will start bringing back the balance, the order of things. And there will be no more, the male is here and the woman is here, but it will get back balanced and we will both be right here. Even though we know without us, there's no them. Thank you.
Est-ce que ça répond à votre question, monsieur? Vous êtes où? Non, ça va répondre à votre question.
Salvador,
un peu la question, s'il vous plaît. Yes.
Salvador, we're going to have some more responses to that last question.
1 second, because they say that it was kind of lost in translation. So I want to make sure that I capture exactly what he meant by his question. So the problem is they start with the speech and he throws me off. He has to go to the question right away so we can move forward. Go.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. Yes, no, sit down. Alors, how can women become autonomous without hurting all religious boundaries that are set in the society? Basically, you have in the Bible, it talks about women submit, and some people take it way too far. In Islam, sometimes women are becoming like an object. So basically, I think that's kind of what he's trying to portray, if you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
How can we make women autonomous in that atmosphere where they are suppressed? If that makes sense.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think we should not lose our principles and our culture and the process of modernizing acceptance of women or elevating women. When we talk about equality or inclusiveness, we're not saying let's violate our culture or our beliefs. Because being a woman and being in power or a position of influence should not bypass your religion or should not bypass your belief. But I know where this is leading to. To say, when you are a president, you are a leading people, and then in the Muslim culture, a woman is not a leader. But that is a different type of leading, because you're leading
in power of professionalism. You are leading in guiding. If you look at how the structures of the government works, you are the president because you are making the final decisions from the influence of what has been recommended for you. So let's not traditionalize it to say you are then leading the household. You are guiding it to go forward. So those are two different things. When you are home, you are still submissive. When you are still in power, you are still submissive. But the fact that we were here the whole day as your elders, and I'm speaking to the youth alone, we've been submissive to you, to listen to you. So there's a difference between submission and disrespect and crossing boundaries. Let's understand those words and what do they mean, and define them in a way that is supposed to be. Undermining a woman or a woman thinking she's below you, that's not submissive. That's oppression. So there's a very thin line between those words and how we execute them in our societies. Being in a place of position or a place of influence, let's call it that, it doesn't mean you're being not submissive, but you're just guiding. You're just in a position where we trust you a little bit more, where you get things done better than other people. But it doesn't violate your religion because you still go to your religion and go on your knees and still pray to God or still pray to Allah, however way you pray to. So it doesn't change who you are as a person. It doesn't change what you believe in and what you practice. It's a job that needs to be done and it needs to be done by a certain person. But all we are saying when we talk about equality of women to be in the space, we are literally saying, let's have a voice. For most of us who are in place of employment or who have been in place of employment, we know there's a boys' club. When men are together, they all agree with each other, even if they don't agree with each other. So it's easy for men to go along, but it's difficult for women to go along with something that they don't believe in. Men compromise with each other because they are in brotherhood. So all we're saying is, let's throw women in there so that they can give us a different perspective. They can give us a different idea. And we can witness that. If you look at the development of Tanzania, in the few years that Tanzania woman has been led by a woman as the president, look at the development of it. So that says that a woman has given us a different idea to say, let's take all this money that we have and invest in infrastructure. Let's take the money that we have, let's invest in youth. Whereas other directions of other projects were going somewhere else. But she also did not abandon the other ideas. So no, all these other ideas that were in motion from the previous president, let me complete them because they were important to the nation. So let's not get caught up in the little beanie personal and character behaviors and make them the bigger picture. The bigger picture is inclusiveness. Let's include each other. Let's see each other. I need to see you. You need to see me. That means we are recognizing each other with different perspectives that we have. And we're very inclusive in what we think and how we do things to say, but what does the other gender think? Are they thinking differently? Are they in agreement with what we're doing? Is our priority their priority? And then out of all that, we build a better and happy nation. Thank you.
Any other contributions before we move to the next question? There's a young lady right here. Is it you? Okay. Question here for us, okay?
And I would like to announce that this will be the last question as we are running out of time. I know we're enjoying the conversations, but we are running out of time, so this will be the last question. Thank you. Yes. Continue.
Bonsoir à tous. Je m'appelle Wedrago Ator Cynthia, étudiante en hydrogéologie à l'université Thomas Sankara. Ma question s'adresse à Madame l'ambassadrice. Vos mots m'ont beaucoup inspiré et j'aimerais en savoir plus sur votre parcours académique et professionnel. Et quels ont été les plus grands défis que vous avez pu réaliser pour en arriver à Merci.
You need translation or are you good? Ambassador?
I'm good.
Are you good, Ambassador?
Yes.
We have a live feed, so Salvador, if you can just translate that question really quick for our live feed for your brothers and sisters in the United States of America. They are listening live as well. Thank you.
Excellent. So basically, the young lady was asking, she said that she was really impressed by the career of ambassador from Tanzania, and she wanted to know how she made it happen. What were the roadblocks, right? How many roadblocks she had to overcome? Where she found courage? And I mean, she kind of wanted to know your resume, basically. Okay, so if you have an opportunity to tell us your resume, how you got that far to be ahead of the promises.
I miss her. What does she study?
She goes to Thomas Sankara University. Ma jeune fille, qu'est-ce que vous apprenez à l'université de Thomas Sankara? Geology. She's studying geology. Geology. Hydrology. Hydrogeology.
Thank you. I am honored that my story can inspire another young lady. I am honored. And I thank you for the question. Road to leadership for me and you is not going to be a smooth one. It has never been. I'm not sure about my ladies, but I'm sure we share the same story. So tough it up. That's all I can say. You have to be brave. You have to remain focused. You remember when I came here at the beginning during the morning panel, I said you always have to remain focused. Once you get your eyes off the ball, you lose it. And for us, the temptations to lose your focus, there's so many. I have not talked about the roadblocks because I don't want to discourage majority of you. So I want to give you the good story. I've remained focused. I have been in my career for over 18 years now. I started at a very lower level to now where I am. I head a department and I'm the spokesperson of my ministry, which is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And, you know, recently I got appointed by the president 3-4 years ago as an ambassador. So the road has never been easy, but it took a female president to recognize my work and to appoint me as an ambassador and director. So the journey can never be the same, but it's doable. It's very, very doable. I can't even imagine at your young age, you are doing hydrogeology. You know, we've got mines in Tanzania, right? We have critical minerals. So I challenge you, don't put anything on your path. You're gonna be somebody, they're gonna be sending you all over Africa where there are mines to go and do as a survey. I don't know what you guys do in your career, but do not limit yourself. But as a young lady, just know your struggle is not gonna be the same as your fellow boys. It's never gonna be the same. Each climb you make, there's gonna be more climbs to either stop you or pull you down. Don't listen to that. If you remain focused, you're always gonna reach your dreams. We'll talk some more at another time. Thank you for asking.
Alors, avant que nous passions à notre dernière question de la soirée, malheureusement, c'est les autorités qui décident. Je vous invite à visiter ma page Afrique éveillée. Elle est consacrée au Burkina Faso. Et je cherche des jeunes hommes qui sont très forts dans l'ordinateur pour m'aider à la promouvoir. Alors, jeune homme, levez-vous. Posez une question brève, pas un discours. Afrique éveillée avec E accent aigu E.
Bonsoir à tous. J'aurais aimé poser plusieurs questions, mais pour des raisons diplomatiques, je n'ai pas cette grâce. D'accord. Je suis candidat Wedini Frédéric, étudiant en communication et journalisme à l'Institut panafricain d'études de richesse. Cela dit, je voudrais savoir, est-ce que le corps féminin a réellement compris le sens même du mot autonomisation? Parce que si je souligne cette préoccupation-là, c'est parce qu'on aurait remarqué que, au fur et à mesure que la femme prend de l'autonomisation, on remarque certains mots dans la société, notamment les divorces. La mairie centrale de Ouagadougou a l'essentiel de 1000 ans de loi, plus de 1000 divorces dans la seule ville de Ouagadougou. Est-ce que c'est pas parce que les femmes sont un peu quelque part autonomes qu'on ressent ce genre de mots-là? Ou bien ce sont les femmes qui n'ont pas compris?
This one is a loaded question.
Can we just each unpack it? So because this is our last question, right?
Yes, this is our last question, and then we'll have Her Excellency close us out. Well, yes, we'll have one more for her, and then we'll close out.
Want me to translate, or they did a good job?
They did a good job.
Yeah,
They did a good job?
but for the audience outside, just translate it. Yeah.
So basically, the young man he has a concern because as we focus so much on women being so autonomous, his main concern is in Ouagadougou. I think last year there was over 1,000 divorces because women are becoming so autonomous. So you kind of want to know, are they missing something around in translation? Why is that happening? Okay, do we need to stop that autonomous path or what? What's going on? Okay, too many divorces. That was his question.
Thank you, young man. I clocked on you because you did communication, or you're doing communication, and that is what I went to school for. Whoever wanted my resume, I studied communication back in Waverly, Iowa. Yes. So my point is, we live in a global village. The same example I gave earlier on, that we cannot abandon what is going on around the world. Divorce rates is not just in Burkina Faso, it's not just in Africa, it's around the world. And it's not caused by women empowerment or any other empowerment issue. It's just the world we live in today. That's why I'm saying there's so many critical issues. We have to look at the characters, at the path that you're choosing, but also your discipline to remain focused. I want to give my example. I'm still a very good wife to my husband. We love each other. Despite the fact when I go to work, everybody recognizes who I am and they address me accordingly. But when I come home, I'm a mother of 2 children. I'm a wife to a loving husband. And when I go home, when you get me at home, you wouldn't realize that this is Ambassador Mindy representing a country somewhere. If we don't know how to intertwine these roles, we are limiting our spaces. We are limiting our creativity. We are leaving our expansiveness. We need to expand and grow. If you're spiritual, you'll understand what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, it's up to you and me. I've done my part. Up to you, young man. I would urge you, follow your dream and also follow your heart. You get a beautiful wife one day, you marry her, you know her place. If she is also in the path to innovate and become somebody, you gotta support her. You don't block it, you support her. How do you support her? You remember in my morning panel, I said, I told my husband, because I knew somewhere, I'm going somewhere in my career path. And if you want to be with me, if you're serious, are you going to be with me, to be by my side when I become somebody? And he said, yes, why not? So at the end of the day, I'm not going to abandon my role as a wife. I am a very loving wife and I love my family, but at the same time, I'm a leader in my workspace and he supports me fully. Thank you so much.
If I may add to that as well,
As a man, when your wife has a position that you perceive to be a higher level than yours, ask yourself, are you intimidated by your wife? Or are you going to celebrate her success? A lot of times you men, you can't take it. And that's your downfall. Which means to answer that question, you need to have a serious conversation with image in the mirror. Because it is the image in the mirror that is sick and needs healing. Also, as women, when you do climb that corporate ladder, don't demean your husband. Don't mistreat him because you happen to be in a position higher than him. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with the husband staying at home if somebody needs to be home with the children. Are you strong enough a man, comfortable in your own skin, that it's okay for you to stay home and take care of the kids while your wife who's making more money goes to work? It's about raising a family. It's about a relationship. It's not about competition. It's not about who's bringing more money. It's not about who's doing what. So that conversation needs to take place. Women, get off your high horse if you happen to be you climb the ladder. And men, it's okay for your wife to sew because it's a partnership. So when you find yourself being jealous of your wife, being jealous of your partner, stop. Go to the bathroom, have a conversation with the image in the mirror, and tell that image to behave.
And I would like to add, in today's marriages, for me, I've been married for 20 years. So it's more like a partnership because, especially in America, most times you have both persons working. So we understand each other and we're working together. Communication is the key. And also, you have to make sure that you support your spouse and your spouse support you. Seasons change. Sometimes he may be the breadwinner, or sometimes you may have to step up and be the breadwinner. But once you guys both have that understanding, it's okay. And sometimes we do have our traditions, our cultures, and in certain cultures, it may be looked upon that you are the woman and you're outside the home working, and your husband is at home with the kids. But at the end of the day, it's between you and your husband, and both of you guys make it work for each other. Thank you.
With all the comments, what is most important? The most important thing is communication. Make sure that you talk together and you grow together. You find that the challenge of most of the reasons for divorce is you're not growing together, you're growing separately. The other one is going too fast, the other one is going too slow. So have those conversations while you're still courting to understand what are the desires of the other person. What are their dreams? What do they aspire to do? What do they aspire to have? Then you can align if it matches what you want to become as you grow, it matches your beliefs as well. So that as you grow and evolve, you remind each other. I had one speaker that taught us that even in families, you need to have a strategy. In marriage, you need to have a strategy. You need to have a matrix of saying, what are our achievements? What is it that we want to achieve out of this? In how long? You need to have a budget, just like at the office. Have a budget to say, how much are we planning? Most of the challenges, you find that divorces, if you listen to them, is either people didn't communicate properly, so their dreams and their visions are not aligning as they grow. Others don't have a very good relationship with money, or their dreams and expectation of money doesn't align with each other. So have those communications, have those talks before you marry. Get to know where somebody comes from. Don't marry people that you don't know where they come from. Go to the grassroots, know their uncles, their cousins. When you're dating, it doesn't seem important. But once you are married, it's very, very important because you need to know the type of people that they are, the type of people that they raise, or even the type of people that your kids, your own children, might be like those people. Some children are not going to be like you, you're going to be like the aunties or the uncles. So you need to know all those behavioral patterns before you make the decision of saying, I do. And that way, then you know that you're operating on a prayer. And at the midst of all of it, have God at the center of it. The two of you alone, you can do it. It's Allah, it's God, whoever you believe in, have that third person that can have a reason to. Some of the divorce, if not most of them, they happen because especially the abusive ones. When people divorce, it's because somebody gets so angry that they're not accountable to anybody. They don't have a higher being. Have a higher being that when you're supposed to do the worst, you only remember your God or you remember your Allah and then you calm yourself down. But if you don't have a higher being, you are just there and anything and any evil can catch you up. And also, marriage is a decision. It's not a requirement. Get married or marry because you want to, not because you have to. Make up your plans, show up what you want to do, what you want to become, and how you are going to get there, and make your decision based on that. Thank you.
I once had an award from Nelson Mandela, and during that speech, he talked about two rocks that we see at the beach, and they're nice and smooth, and we want to take them home and put them on our mantle. He said, let me remind you, those two rocks, thousands of miles away where they came from the mountains, they were as jagged edged as they could be. But after many moons of rubbing against each other, down the river, down wherever, and finally ending up in the ocean, they became smooth. So you now like them, but you have no idea where these rocks have been. Marriage is much the same way. No two people are going to come together and agree on everything every day. You are going to have disappointments, you are going to fight, you're going to have arguments, but those arguments should not lead to a divorce. Understand them as the process of the two rocks coming from high up in the mountains on their way to the ocean, where they can eventually become nice and smooth, and you'll be in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, and you can sit back and say, why did we used to fight? And let me end up with one, an uncle of mine was talking to a young man, and he said something that I thought was quite interesting. He said, if I knew then what I know now, I never would have had any fights with my husband. He said, young man, with my wife. He said, young man, I want you to remember two words. Yes, dear. Remember that. Yes, dear. He said, your wife will come at you and say, do this and do this and do this and do this. You don't argue and say, well, how can I do this better? You just say, yes, dear. He said, most of the time, I don't even do half of the things she asked me to do because she forgets. But if I argued with her, there would have been a fight. So learn to say, yes, dear, but do what you can and do what you don't want to do, don't do it. Let her come back and say it again and you say, yes, dear. So if you remember anything as a man, yes, dear.
Yes, yes, dear. So before we close out, if I can have a final word from each of our panelists, and then we'll have Dr. Arikana close us out.
I'll just say one of my final words, and also in reference to relationships and marriage and divorce rate, is that the culture here is beautiful. Preserve it. The best thing to do to protect a marriage and prevent divorce is to be the best knower of yourselves. So give yourselves an opportunity to get to know yourself before you spend a lifetime with another person. And Burkina Faso, becoming a permanent resident, my last words and final comments is the consciousness is shifting here. It was spoken about within the ministries of foreign affairs. And I think that all of you, each of you, as you welcome us, the world welcomes you. So remember that you are welcomed in this world, not just Africa. But this world, it just so happens that this world and existence wouldn't be without you, Africa. So we're starting here in Burkina Faso, and I thank you all for welcoming us and having us, and it's been a pure pleasure to be within your company. My final words. When I arrived here a few days ago, what struck me with Burkinabés is the way women ride in motorcycles with the babies on their backs. I've never seen anything like that. I don't see it in my country. This is something you don't know, you don't understand. I took a lot of pictures. My phone is full because of the women, and they're in, we call them borders in my language, in Swahili. So people are riding borders and young girls with handbags. She's rocking a handbag on this. And this is cool to me in my world. So don't lose that. Do not lose that. Because I'm trying to see how much you save society as a whole to have a young lady working alongside with her 6-month-old baby at the back without no hesitation. She goes to the market, she goes to her business, she goes to sell her kitenges, whatever she's going to do. I mean, I was just mesmerized. You don't see this in majority of our African countries. These Pan-African conversations are coming in handy. So you have amazing people, you have amazing culture. Let's protect it. Let's push it forward to other countries in the continent, to even go beyond the continent. Now it's in America. And let's make it happen for Africa. Thank you. The reason why I got interested to come here, I met Dr. Arikana in Tanzania. And she said, we're just gonna go out there and say the truth. So for the fact that this movement is a movement of the truth, that motivated me to align with her vision and to encourage it and to support it. She has your best interest at heart. But what mostly attracted me to Burkina Faso people is that resilience. You guys are so resilient, you are so respectful, you are so disciplined and hard-working nation. That alone is something that can never be taken away from you. You are so, I've never been in an environment, I've never seen anybody push anybody. I've not seen anybody going into a place that they were not told to go into. Where I come from, if you have a venue like this and there's VIP, we all want to be at VIP. Even us who come with no names, we are pushing and asking people, why am I not in the front row? What's so wrong with me? But you guys followed the instruction to the T. That is amendable. You knew where you were supposed to eat, you knew where you were supposed to sit. Nobody was pushing anybody to do anything. Media knew where they're supposed to stand. That orderly will take you places. That orderly will bring all of us here to come and be part of you. We thank you for accommodating us. We have enjoyed our time here. We will be there. Thank you.
For my final remarks, as an African born in the Caribbean island of Trinidad and Tobago, where Pan-Africanism was found and birthed, and have lived most of my life in the United States of America, as a mother, I'm saying this to you, the youth. They are planning for you. In America, they are making plans about you. I know this firsthand because I work in the entertainment industry. You guys have an advantage. Continue to educate yourself, work together, so that when they come, they have to make deals with you, but deals that would not be at a disadvantage for you. You guys are the future. The world knows it. You are smart. You are intelligent. You are brilliant. You are brave. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are Africa. You are the future. Get ready so you can stay ready. Opportunity favors the prepared. Work with each other, build together, and you guys will be the leaders of this world. I love you guys. I am a resident of Burkina Faso now. I am the first of my family to come back to the continent of Africa, and that is huge. Thank you, Burkina Faso. I love you guys.
Wow. Yeah, I want strong sinners.
Yes, Usman, we need you to give your closing remarks. Usman, as well as...
Just closing remarks.
You can use the podium. Now?
We want to exclude him. He refused to come up. Oh, he refused to come up. Usman. Usman, I heard you refused to come up now and do it all like that. He said, yeah. I hope so.
No.
So what we do this is on spot something, you know. I was not scheduled to do this, but we have no excuse as young people in every space. And for me, Burkina Faso and the young people of this country have really given me hope for an Africa that I inspire to live. A quick one. In 2019, when my first video went viral, I was offered scholarship to go and study in the US, in Europe, including the UK and Canada. And I turned it down to go and study in an African university in Africa. Now, when that happened, there was celebration, but there were comments and conversation that many did not see, but I have heard with people who think maybe something was wrong with my brain for having made that choice. With the young people of Burkina Faso and what you really stand for have given me the courage to say, I will take that same decision 100 times if the offer comes again. Everything in this continent can be imported except a genuine revolution that is going to give Africa the voice it deserves, the development we yearn for, and the space in which the African in every space can stand without losing any sight or having any fear in making sure that their voices are recognized. It is one thing to start a revolution, and another challenge to maintain it. For the past few years, the youth of Burkina Faso have shown to the entire African continent that even if it takes sleeping on the streets, we will do so to protect the leadership of this revolution for its sustainability, and that should not change. To our brothers and sisters coming from the diaspora, Africa's disconnection is a deeply rooted concept. Everyone around the world who profits from the resources of Africa, including her own people, are aware. And as early as 1835, a British lawmaker in the British Parliament did say that if the West should dominate Africa, they need to overthrow our very backbone. They need to make the African believe that everything that is Western is correct and everything that is white is correct. And if that is attained, then we will be dominated forever. That has been the bedrock through which the Bretton Woods institutions were formed, through which organizations have been created to extend that belief that Africa is nothing but a resource hub for Europe and the West at large. It is our time to say no to this. It is our time. It is our time to say we are done with the confusion of what every ideology have been brought to us. But it is time for us to define the path that Africa must take, not only for now, but for generations yet unborn. There has been a disconnection between Africa and her diaspora, but there has also been a disconnection between Africans themselves. Today, there are platforms where all of us can meet in and interact. Yes, there may be challenges, but throughout these days of conversation, whether you speak French, or you speak English or Portuguese, you are able to understand what every conversation around here is. So there is a technology that we must leverage. And the lack of understanding can no longer be an excuse. It is high time we build. It is high time we own businesses. And this would be my last point. To all of us young people out there, Africa's revolution have always been made a philosophical one. For far too long, people who promote the idea of Pan-Africanism have been boxed in classrooms and in universities, that these are frustrated elites who speak nothing but for themselves and anti-systems. It is our time to decolonize that concept. It is our time us in an African approach. By that I mean our goal should not be making money alone, but impact and passing legacy from one generation to another. It is good that we graduate from being critics of situations to being merchants of solution. When we look around, we see challenges. That means we have only one thing to do: develop solutions to make things happen. Africa can never be saved by outsiders. It takes us, it starts with us, it ends with us. These conversations have to live beyond these boundaries and have to be transformative enough to yield genuine actions that will guide every young African entrepreneur, every young African professional, to make sure that this continent is built for the people it is meant for. I thank you.
Her Excellency will now give us her final closing remarks.
Okay. It's been an amazing 3 days, don't you agree? Thank you, young people, for hanging in with us. I often tell people when I spend time with younger people, I feel 10 to 20 years younger. I got that these past 3 days, so for that, I thank you. We came here for Pan-African conversations with the theme of celebrating you and your accomplishments. with the theme of showcasing what the youth of Burkina Faso have done. As a mother, I am so proud of all of you. Continue to do the good work. President Traore cannot build this country by himself. He needs young, brilliant, energetic minds like you. I don't have to preach the gospel. This is the gospel you already know. This is the Kool-Aid that you have already drunk. You know what you must do. You know what your mission is. And for that, we are determined more than ever to see to it that you, Burkinabe youth, lead the way of Africa's complete liberation. Show the rest of Africa how a true revolution that will benefit the people can be organized and orchestrated.